Good evening. Welcome to Conversations with Mr. Jim. Great to have all of our viewers aboard. I am Mr. Jim, and our program tonight, as always, sponsored by Usha's Tailoring and Alterations. Usha, for all of your tailoring and alterations need. Usha's been in business, Kim, for over 20 years. She's using the old Commerce Bank building here in Fenton. Quality alterations. She's at 238-4612. Kim, I had a chance to talk to her a couple weeks after we did our first Conversations program. I had a chance to talk to her and her husband, Kumar. 300 to 500 wedding gowns she alters at this time of the year. I don't see how she does it, but 300 to 500 wedding gowns per year or per quarter.
Clean your coffee.
And she's very reasonable on her alterations. She's charged me, I think, like $20 to alter a pair of pants. I've had a couple pairs of tuxedo pants altered. One just here recently. Just a consistent seamstress. Somebody I never have to worry about that is going to do the alterations right the first time. Every time I've been in, there's been a young lady in there, whether it's her prom dress or a wedding gown. Usha is the one for all your alterations and tailoring needs. Again, it's Usha's Alterations. Let them know you mentioned Mr. Jim whenever you come in, and they'll give you a discount on a sizable order of alterations. She does it all. She's like 90% women's alterations, 10% men's. So, folks, at this time, it is my pleasure to once again welcome in Mr. Kim Hamilton from Off the Hook Embroidery, based down in Wesley Chapel, Florida. And I've used Kim for quite a while for all my embroidery. In fact, the cap that I have on my head right now came from Kim Hamilton, his embroidery work. I've got 8 or 9 of the caps. Hang in there with me, Kim. I want to get another sample of your work, which I feel is important. Folks, this is from Kim's golf line. That's from the golf line. Very impressive picture. They get this, they see that site, Kim, whenever they go into your store. Is that correct? It's one of your pictures?
They see that site. They see that picture, and they also see the cigar logo picture.
Okay.
You can connect on either one, and it'll take you to either site.
I know I should know this by now, Kim. That's a spade, isn't it? That's on the front of the cap there. That's a spade. What does that represent?
Well, the original concept for the golf line was supposed to be called Ace Deuce Golf.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, so I just used the spade.
Okay.
And so by putting the cart before the horse, there was some conflictions in the naming. So I says, okay, instead of getting some cease and this, whatever you call it, to stop using parts of that name, I just went on and just kept it Off the Hook Golf. And I love the logo, so I just kept the logo. Yeah.
It is very, very catchy.
Right.
You've been busy, my friend. You've been busy lately.
Oh gosh. So if the cigar line business doesn't pick up, the t-shirt and embroidery business picks up and it booms, and then it goes back and forth. Okay, so right now I have several big orders. I have a couple of golf tournaments that I was doing. I'm finishing up on a cigar production. I'm finishing up on that. This cigar lounge got wiped out during the last hurricane. Their lounge was demolished. So he's getting prepared to reopen, and so I'm doing shirts, caps for his cigar lounge. And now you talking the prom seasons from
Yeah.
Umanim. We getting
Yeah.
ready to come up with family reunions, cruises, and everything of that nature. So hopefully we planning on being pretty busy.
Kim, when you wake up in the morning and you see your website, are you pretty much, is it a daily occurrence that you're either going to have an email inquiry, or you're going to have your box full of orders for stuff? Is this pretty much a daily routine for you as far as off the hook?
Well, actually not, because a lot of people who knows me that want something done, they would probably inbox me or message me. I must say that I get a lot of hits on the website, of viewings on the website, but I get very little orders from the website. And I even tell them to go to the website and order it so we can get some statistics going. But they want to just go ahead and email me or text me, this is what I want, and then we'll go from there.
So it's either a word, probably by this stage, it's a word of mouth
word of
referral.
mouth, right? Word of mouth referrals. Yeah, and they'll see, hey, well, where'd you get that done? Oh, Hamilton did this. Well, I did a shirt for a customer, and then he in turn referred me to two other guys, and so I'm doing something for them too. They getting ready to start their t-shirt lineup, and so I'm doing things for them too. I'm doing some work for a charity foundation that they give scholarships out to youth for college. So I'm doing things for that as well. Golf tournaments, and right now the golf tournaments are getting ready to pop up down here anyway. I don't know what the weather is like there in St. Louis right now, but
We've had, if you weren't aware, Kim, we did have a heck of a lot of rain. Week before last, we had a front move through, several fronts that moved through. The area was inundated by 6 inches.
wow.
6 to 8 inches of rain in 3 or 4 days. It brought the Merrimack up to where it flooded out 141 here for about three and a half days. We've had a lot of rain. It has been cool. Can I say that? Seasonably cool here. 50s and 60s, even though we have, I believe, a warming trend to come through. But again, more rain expected this week. So you've heard of April showers. It's been monsoon season here in the month of April in the metro St. Louis area. We've had a lot of rain. My yard really could use the rain. It just came too much at one time.
Exactly.
I mean, it just was a deluge all at one time. I see where you're at right now.
Yeah.
As usual, it's sunshine.
Exactly.
In the state of Florida.
Yeah, exactly.
How could that be, Kim?
I'm sitting out back. You can see my pool in the background.
I saw it.
I'm just out smoking a cigar, conversating with Mr. Jim.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know let me check and see what the weather is. I don't even know what the weather is right now. It is, so right now it's 76.
76 degrees
right now. And it's going down. I don't know what the temperature was at the peak of today. It was probably in the 80s somewhere. It's the 85s maybe. Yeah.
So business is going well, obviously, at Off the Hook. Kim, I want to spend a little bit of time during the conversation tonight, we haven't talked about it all that much, but the cigars.
Right.
I've pushed the cigars during the ad segments, during your sponsorship segments here on both my sports talk and conversations.
Mm-hmm.
But talk to our listeners out there about the literally info at odhcigars.com.
Right. Okay, so we started our cigar business, the Mobile Cigar Lounge, down in St. Louis.
Okay.
Um, yeah, we had a 7x12 utility trailer, and we just decided to do something and make it out of a mobile to do parties, and we did bachelor parties, we did wineries, we did baby showers. Actually, a baby shower was one of our first events that we did. And so when we decided to expand it and get it ready to go, then that's when COVID hit and shut everything down, and then by that time we ended up moving down here to Florida, and we purchased a 32-foot shuttle bus, from that a limousine company had, and then we just gutted it out, Jim, and we did some things on the inside, and we expanded the mobile portion of it. We were the only mobile cigar lounge that we can put you inside and drive you around town while you sit back, smoke, and have your adult beverages, and we would just take you if you wanted to go from we call cigar lounge hopping. You can go to one lounge and we'll round you up, stay there for about a half an hour or so, 40 minutes. And then the good thing about that, Jim, is when we'll drop them off at a lounge and they start to smoke a cigar. Now they don't have to put it out and worry about getting to the next place to light it up again, which is, it's not good, but so they can just walk right into my bus and continue smoking, sit down, buckle up, and then we'll go to the next place. It's almost like a bar hop, you know. So, but we do cigar lounges and stuff like that. But we will take you anywhere that you wanted to go.
Question I have on a cigar. I've never been a smoker, period.
Okay.
Both my mom and dad growing up were absolutely heavy chain smokers, and early on I never even wanted to try it, Kim, because I was around them
Right.
constantly. With all due respect to both people, just heavy heavy use of cigarettes. When you're a cigar smoker, excuse me, when you're a cigar smoker
Mm-hmm.
and you have one that you've just lit up, how long do you have that cigar for? How much flavor? Am I
Yeah.
saying this right? How
Yeah.
much flavor how much flavor and time do you have with a cigar,
Yeah.
Kim?
Normally a good cigar would probably last you about an hour.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour. And it depends on the smoke, because a lot of people will smoke, they talk, they drink. They smoke, they talk, they drink. So it can last you an hour at the
Okay.
most to smoke a real decent cigar. Cigars are, to me, cigars are like a conversation piece. You can go to a lounge and you can meet different people of all walks of life, and you can sit down and you can fire up a cigar, and next thing you know, we're laughing, swapping information, and who knows, that person may, end up buying cigars for me or whatever, or you never know what profession they in. Um, and then of course you got the golf course. Um, you get on the golf course, and sometimes if you don't play with um, a constant group, you can be paired up with complete strangers and you can be smoking. And of course, me, if I'm with a stranger, I'll ask him, "Do you mind me smoking cigars?" And they would say no. Well, then I'll smoke a cigar, and that's my leeway into my cigar lounge, my cigar business. And then they say, yeah, we smoke, and I'll give them a cigar. I always keep an extra cigar handy when I'm on the golf course. Boom, there you go. You can smoke. And whether they say, okay, well, I'm a rent you out or not, that's different. The seed has been planted,
So,
So
Kim, am I to understand you correctly? You do have your transportation back up and going with the cigar business.
well, it's the transportation portion. I may be getting out of the transportation portion of it,
Okay.
but I will still keep the bus. I take it to different events, and then people can, down here in Florida in that heat, they can sit inside in the AC and smoke and be comfortable.
So you
So
had two vehicles. You had two vehicles.
well, I had the bus, and then I have a 7x12 utility trailer.
Got you. Okay.
Where we started from at first. But now this utility trailer basically is just for storage.
Got you.
Yeah.
Well, I want to go more into the world of cigars with Kim. Before I do that, I want to let everybody know about K&S Maintenance Services. Stefan Army is 636-428-9164. Stefan has done a lot for Mr. Jim with his house. He's insured for up to $2 million. You mentioned Mr. Jim. If you get in contact with Stefan, and he'll give you a discount. He's on time. He's thorough. I honestly, Kim, I don't think I've ever met a more thorough maintenance person in my life, but he has done steps here. That's really the conversation piece in my house. That's the one thing I'm most proud of. Kim, great bathroom. We're down in the man cave down here. It looks fantastic, but it's the steps that he did for us. The wooden steps replaced original steps that had been here forever. And he put a colonial style railing up in the living room of the house, which to me, again, another conversation piece. Not that we entertain, but it's something that I'm extremely proud of what he did. But he's very, very reasonable. 15% off services with Stefan Army. It's K&S Maintenance Services. He does everything. Free bids. Chris, K&S, I'll get it there one of these days. K&S Main Services. It's literally K&S Main Services at gmail.com. I apologize to our listeners out there. Still just a hair of a nagging sinus infection. Kim, first sinus infection I've ever had in my life occurred a week ago when I was working on a side broadcast gig, dealing with 20-mile-per-hour winds and the temperature in the middle 40s.
Right.
And I've had colds, but I was diagnosed with a sinus infection, and this cough is kind of the lingering effect of that. It's just, it's no fun, especially when you're trying to do a podcast. So we're going to go back to the cigars because, again, I don't talk to you enough about that. You're well known for your embroidery. You do excellent work for the embroidery. In fact, I know you have one of my jackets right now that the new podcast logo is going to go on to. Kim, first of all, what started you with cigars?
Well, Jim, I would go and play golf, and that's the only time that I basically would have a cigar, and
on the golf course.
On the golf course, and that is very rare. I didn't really smoke at all until I moved to St. Louis. Okay, that's when I really started smoking, getting into cigars. There was an event at Ballpark Village, down where the Cardinals play, and that's where I met my wife.
No kid, at Busch Stadium of all places.
Yes, exactly. Wow. There was a big cigar event down there, and I, went went there and had a nice time, and that's when I basically really start smoking. Actually, it was, and I have to contribute my cigar smoking to my wife, because the majority, she knew a lot of people in the cigar world arena that introduced to me, and then that's when I started, getting more and more into the, to cigars and everything.
So you got into cigars.
Hmm.
Um, how did you get to the point to where you learned all about these brands and you were able to move forward and start retailing them?
Right. So, Jim, it's crazy that it was a New Year's Eve. We had a party there when we was living in St. Louis, and the majority of the people that I knew smoked cigars, and I wanted to invite some people to the house, but it was cold, so we couldn't really do too much smoking outside. I tried to put up moving blankets on a connect moving blankets on a tent canopy with bungee cords and everything else.
Right.
And then I got to the point and said, why am I doing this when I have an empty trailer at the Air Force Base? So I went to the Air Force Base and got the trailer, parked it in the garage. I put a heater in there. I had some carpet I put in there and had some lights around it and some chairs and some music. And we all sat out there and smoked and had a good time for New Year's Eve. And then we thought nothing else of it until one night I couldn't sleep, and instead of my grabbing my wallet to go to Amazon somewhere and try to buy a lot of stuff, I got to thinking about the trailer and said, hey, maybe we can do this too. And so I went and bought some paint. I bought a nice piece of carpet to put in there, and I painted it up, put some lights around it, and we did a baby shower. One of my friends in St. Louis, Andreas Davis, actually he's my custom clothier. Um, he
Okay.
had a baby shower, and I did that. Pulled up in his driveway, and then from that point on, we got a couple of wineries that we did over on the Illinois side. And then from there, we just started moving up and doing better things. I started learning more. And don't get me wrong, even though I sell cigars, smoke cigars, I am by no means an aficionado, so I know more. I know a lot about cigars, but I don't claim to know I'm the go-to guy. I can answer some of the questions, but I'm not that real cigar aficionado, know all be all type of person, and I claim not to be, and I don't want to be.
Where do the majority of cigars, Kim? Where is the source
Well,
for cigars in the world?
yeah, you have Dominicans, you have tobacco grown in Dominican Republic, Nicaragua, um, yeah, they
Hmm.
Mexico. The the tobacco is grown. Actually, we do have a uh, a grower here down here in the Tampa area.
I had no idea.
In I think it's Claremont.
Wow.
He does uh, Florida sun grown tobacco. Yeah, the tobacco is you have the filler, you have the binder, and you have the wrapper. Those are the three main components of a cigar, and you
Okay.
can have pieces of tobacco on any one of them. I mean, no, any one of the three, or you can just have a completely Dominican tobacco grown cigar, which is the binder, filler, and the wrapper. Cameroon, you got tobacco grown in Cameroon. It's basically the soil content
No
that
kidding.
makes that. Yeah.
I noticed you didn't say Cuba, and that was the first country that came to my
Yeah.
mind. that Cuba produces a lot of cigars. Is that really no longer the case, or has
Oh,
that
they do.
ever been the case?
Yeah, they do. But the American, you can't get too much Cuban cigars over here in the U.S. There now, don't get me wrong. There are some Cuban cigars over here, but I know I can't get them. You have to know somebody who knows somebody who
I
pretty
gotcha.
well friends with somebody that knows somebody. You
Okay.
know.
How many different brands of cigars, Kim, do you carry?
Oh, do I carry?
Yes.
I can carry just about any brand that you want. You can get um you can ask for this type of cigar. I can get it. I can get just about any cigar anybody wants to smoke except the Cuban, you
The
know.
and cigars, are they sold individually? I mean, when you buy them, are they? Because I always see, I guess the you carry them in your shirt pocket, right?
Mhm.
A lot of them
Yeah.
carry them in their shirt pockets.
So I buy them by the box, and
Okay.
I can sell them to a customer by the box if they want a box, or we can sell them individually. So but every time I buy cigars, it's by the box, and then I have a humidor inside my house that it holds about 3,000 cigars.
Oh my
So because
gosh!
I
Wow.
have to have that supply and demand, for the customers. And if I
No
don't have it,
kidding.
yeah, and if I don't have it, hey, I can get it. Yeah. And see, we down here in Tampa, which
Yeah.
Tampa is the cigar mecca of the world.
I
You
was
know,
not aware of that.
yeah, and it's a place called Ybor City. Okay, and Ybor City is nothing but cigars, cigar rollers, cigar shops, and anybody who wants to come to Tampa, basically the first thing they say is, "Where's this Ybor City?" They call it. Some people call it Ybor, because it's spelled Ybor, but it's pronounced Ybor, right? So
Wow.
that's where all of the Spaniards and the Cubans came to US to do all of the cigars, and it's a big historical place for cigars. Every December they have a cigar heritage festival, which is the largest cigar festival in the world. Yeah.
I
So
am. I've had a history lesson here tonight with you, Kim.
yeah.
I had no idea that the cigar market, was as large as it is now here in St. Louis. Many years ago, I know they had so-called smokers
Hmm.
to where people would go, excuse me, in their tuxedos. They'd be
Yeah.
black tie events
Yep. Yep.
where people would
We.
go and they'd call it a smoker, have it a famous tavern or place like that. We
Hmm.
want to stress this is a black tie event. Come in your best and enjoy the finest in cigars,
Yeah.
even though
So
they were
we.
few and far between.
Yeah. So we come to an event down in these November, October, or November, I think it is, somewhere like that. We
Uh
come to a
huh.
black tie event just about every year
No
that
kidding.
some friends of ours host, and black tie, suits, everybody's looking dapper, with the tuxedos, and the ladies are with the gowns down at the not the what is it called? Uh, it's almost something like the Y, but it's upscale, not the Y. Um, I can't think what it's called, but it's a nice building downtown that we go in, and it's almost like a country club like type place downtown St. Louis. And we go there just about every year to that event. Yeah. And Jim, you would be surprised. You would be surprised the number of females that you see smoking cigars.
I
Yeah.
would and I wouldn't
Yeah.
because I've seen them smoke them,
Hmm.
and I wouldn't. I don't guess I'd be at all that surprised
Yeah.
that the
And
ladies like them too.
yeah, and then sometimes what tickles me is I can
Uh
sit
huh.
back. I can sit back and I know females who know about cigars, and then you see a guy talking to them, and they try to impress themselves and this and that, thinking they know more about cigars or whatever, and the females just sitting there looking like, okay, okay, not knowing that they know just about more than than the guys do. It's pretty funny, to be
We've got
honest.
a, we've got a gentleman in the Order of Elks that's in the East Central District. Been there a long time. He
Mm-hmm.
was a treasurer, moved up to the state level, and his trademark. Ken, when you see him at a golfing event or whatever, his trademark is his smile, and he's always either got a cigar, again, golf course, cigar in his mouth, or holding a cigar in his hands, in
Right,
his in between his fingers. He's
right.
got a cigar, and it's quite the converse. I guess they're really quite the conversation piece,
It is.
aren't they?
It is. It is. It's the and just about everybody. There's a lot of cigar etiquette that you go by, and a lot of people who don't know, they'll find out. Because if you have, the first thing a person want to do is take a cigar, put it in their nose, and smell it. And I tell people, if you put your nose on my cigar, you bought it. So because I
So
don't
you
want to put
can do.
I don't want to put my mouth on a cigar that you didn't put your nose up to.
Can you get a
So
scent of a cigar through the wrapped plastic? Most of them are wrapped in plastic,
yeah,
I'm assuming.
some of them are wrapped in cellophane, and some are not.
Some are
Yeah,
not.
yeah, but you can. It's kind of hard to smell the tobacco through that cellophane. Yeah.
Kim, we're going to get off of the cigars just for a few minutes. I'm not going to take a lot more of your time. I intended this one only go about 30, probably less than 40 minutes. And
Okay.
we've got about 8 minutes or so left. We may end sooner than that. Questions I have for you. First of all, breaking it down with the embroidery business. Do you do more embroidery of the ball caps, Kim, or do you do more of the clothing or the apparel?
Mostly the apparel.
Mostly the
Uh,
apparel.
yeah, I do mostly the prints on the t-shirts, or embroidery on the polos or jackets, or whatever. The caps, to be honest with you, Jim, the caps is like kryptonite to Superman. Even though I've been doing caps for the longest, they still sometimes give me trouble. Uh, and
You
I'm
could have
I'm
fooled
doing it.
me. You
Yeah,
could have fooled
yeah,
me. You've made a lot of caps.
yeah.
This batch of 9 or 10 I sent you absolutely turned out to perfection. They really
Well,
did.
thank
They
you.
turned out to
Thank you.
perfection.
Yeah.
Um,
So
Go ahead.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh,
No,
I
you
was
go
going
ahead.
to say the last starter I want to talk about was this this golf line. This golf
Hmm.
line that you have. How long have you had this golf line for, Kim?
I launched it back in mid 24,
Okay, so you've had it
and
about a year now.
yeah, almost going on a year. Yes,
And
yes,
that's we talked about this before. It's quite kind of a unique line.
yep.
Your
So
belts.
that logo.
Gosh, with the traditional holes in it, and they hold up pretty well, Kim. They do. Wow. Did you design these belts yourself? Well, that's perfectly okay. How are the hats doing in that line, Kim? I would agree. I've never seen. Yeah, yeah. It's really something else. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a cap like this, and it's really quite impressive. So you've had the golf line now about a year. How are the shirts doing for you? Are the shirts doing okay? Okay, okay. Wow, you can't beat that. Those golf shirts, boy, they're the hottest thing going from all the manufacturers right now in the country as far as golf is concerned. But everything that you make, everything that you embroider, everything that you sell, Kim, I consider to be first class merchandise. He is a retailer that is multi talented and has a very unique line. I'm going to go over this, Kim. Correct me if there is anything that I leave out here. Basically, we start with the basic website, which is offthehookllc.com. That's offthehookllc.com. That's the storefront. I'm sorry. It's OFFDAHOOK LLC.com. That's to get you in where those golf shirts, the hats, and the belts are. The picture of that and that store, and then anything else embroidery related. Um, Also the cigars. Let's talk again just briefly about that. They can go to it's just basically info at odhcigars.com. Info at odhcigars.com. And we mentioned this earlier. If you punch in Mr. Jim into the box, Kim automatically gives you a discount on whatever you purchase. Kim, I'm assuming. Yeah. Yeah. Kim, cigars can be sent through the mail. Is that correct? They can most definitely be sent through the mail. Okay. So again, folks, he's Kim Hamilton. Kim, you made me envious tonight by doing this podcast from your backyard. What a beautiful backyard and that pool. And again, thank you for your service. I want to mention the people that didn't get to tune in to the first podcast a month ago. 35 years, sir. 35 years serving our country in the U.S. Army. That's a long time. You must have enjoyed it. ladies and gentlemen, he's Kim Hamilton. This is our second podcast that we've done with Kim, and again, I'm going to be honest. I don't use anybody, Kim. I don't consider anybody else, and there are many nationals out there. You and I have seen them on TV. There are many national brands out there that want your embroidery business, but I send my work to Florida because I completely trust Kim Hamilton. He doesn't make mistakes on his embroidery. He's just. I've shown a football jacket that I have with the apparel logo on there. And soon he's going to be making quite a few things for me with the podcast with Mr. Jim as we move forward with our podcast here. This has been our second opportunity with Mr. Kim Hamilton. Kim, to be safe with this, I'm just going to kind of just touch it just for a moment. You are going to be entering eventually into a new area of your talents, and I will leave it at that. That'll be for another podcast down the road. But Tim is going to add another service, which I think a lot of folks will find beneficial, and we won't let the cat out of the hat with that one. But he's going to be involved in another venture here soon. You cannot go wrong whether it's embroidery or it's cigars, folks. It's Mr. Cam Hamilton, and he's there for all of your needs. Right. And you and I'll hook up again, I think, in the summer. I'm going to have you on again here because I'm really kind of excited whenever you have this other venture up and going at this point to talk about that because it is kind of an important thing. And again, I won't let the cat out of the hat. But it'll be another venture of Cam Hamilton. Once again, it's 1443 226 1206. Again, I want to thank Mr. Kim Hamilton for joining me here tonight. He's a wonderful person. Get a hold of him for all your embroidery needs. I promise you won't be sorry. The man does incredible embroidery work, and if you want a cigar, he's the man for name brand cigars as well. Once again, our program sponsored by Usha's Tailoring and Alterations. I want to talk about her one more time, Kim, before we wrap things up. Just a sincere couple. One of the hardest working women I've ever seen, Kim. She's incredible with the sewing machine. They have very convenient hours. They're generally open Tuesday through Saturday from 9 until 6. And I do know this, Kim, that her and her husband do come into their store even when they're not open, and they do work. That's how devoted they are to their alteration service. You can't go wrong. And again, I feel about her pretty much how I feel about you at this point. I won't take an alteration anywhere else. She is my go-to because she doesn't make mistakes. And she's very, very confident in her work. Once again, that number, Kim, for Usha, 314-238-4612, or it is you, Bishnapuri. Did you get all that? Well, I'm going to spell it out for you. It's UBISHNUPURI at gmail.com, www.ushaalteration.com as well. So the website is ushaalteration.com, and her email is ubishnupuri at gmail.com in the old Commerce Bank building at 558 Gravois Road. And just one more thing, one-stop solution for all your alteration and tailoring needs. Real quick, we have Sports Talk tomorrow night. Whenever we come on tomorrow night, everybody, be advised, I will have the Blues game on tomorrow night. For sports fans out there, you're probably aware of the saying right now, there's one game left in the regular season. Kim, there's Blues fever down here with the hockey team. They were really struggling until they got the new coach. It took them about a month to find their way. And then they won 12 in a row, and they've backed that off a little bit with 3 losses. So they're trying to fight off the Calgary Flames. And there's basically a 3-word saying right now for tomorrow night, the final home game against the Utah Hockey Club. And that is win and in. And according to the coach, nothing else matters. Win and in. We're not worried about how Calgary's doing. We're not worried about the Thursday night game at Calgary. Hopefully they won't need it to overtake us. We win tomorrow night, and the St. Louis Blues will qualify for the playoffs. And that will be a bonus because nobody thought, Kim, at the start of the season that the St. Louis Blues would have a shot. And Jim Montgomery has done wonders with this team. So it all comes down to the final game of the season tomorrow night. But when we come on the air tomorrow night, that game will be in progress. And I will keep our listeners updated as to how that hockey game is going. Mr. Kim Hamilton. Yes, sir. Please. No kidding. Great. You're Tampa Bay fans. Tampa Bay. Well, Tampa Bay's had they've had a great history too with their Stanley Cup victories, and obviously the now retired Pat Maroon was on the 2019 Stanley Cup team. So that's a significant thing in itself. Mr. Kim Hamilton, I want to thank you very much, sir, for appearing with me a second time. I'd like to do this again probably in the middle of the summer at some point. We'll see. We'll check back in with you. I want to thank all my listeners tonight that tuned in to the program tonight. This has been podcast with Mr. Jim on the conversation side. We're back tomorrow night. It'll be Sports Talk with the Star Lord Chris Pratt, and Brad Callahan joins us tomorrow night from prepcast.com as we broadcast to you tomorrow night as the Blues are going live updates as that game is in progress. Thank you, Kim. Have a wonderful night, everybody. And Kim, continued success, sir, with Off the Hook Embroidery. Wow. All right, you do that. All right. And thank you so much for joining me. And you folks have a wonderful evening. And I'll see hopefully everybody tomorrow night for the Sports Talk with Mr. Jim and the Star Lord Chris Pratt. Good night, everybody. Thank you.